welcome to the Clashing of Steel. Well, today I was planning to do a video about Roman horsemen. I was planning to play it with Scipio, as it can be seen. I was planning to do something interesting. But in this match I found myself in a great situation to test out Roman swordsmen and Roman cavalry. I already know that putting Roman cavalry on tier 7 against tier 7 infantry is pretty much a loss. There is a small difference. But instead I'm gonna put them against one tier lower infantry. These are regular legionnaires. Because they're stacked, that already tells me a lot about them. And, well, they are my targets. My first focus is to bait out their charge. That is my focus as it is for this test, because I know that charge stacked is a rather heavy one, and instead I got pilot. God. I mean, it was perfect against me, but I would have expected a charge and not a waste of pilot. Because if he knew what I was planning, that was a perfect action. But since he didn't, and I just guessed that he wasted his pilot. And another one. I mean, those pilots are great, but the real cherry here is that he used the Vengeance. I got him to use the Vengeance right away. And now I want to see how my horsemen can handle that stacked pack. Because, as I said, on the same tier, if we would fight against tier 7 infantry, Roman infantry, sword infantry, armored legionnaires or regulars, doesn't matter. They would still pack such a heavy punch, it would be hard to deal with them. But simply want to know what would happen. And this was my mistake. I was expecting for him to be a bit more naive. As I said, that stacked charge can be a heavy one. So I'm just gonna send my units here and see how the oath will last against one tier lower opponents. Without any of the vengeance and any other annoyances that can harass me mid-fight. Okay, stab for stab, but anything else. I just keep making mistakes, and I sent my main unit in accidentally into that pack. That I really didn't want to send him into, but God. So the oath will actually make me last really well against them. I probably could actually beat them if I would have not wasted one of my units half health by just trying to engage from the rear and got countercharged heavily. I should have baited it out, but I just wasn't expecting for him to do that. I mean, if he already stacks, that tells me a lot about him. And, well, I didn't expect him to be a bit more rational. He tried to act against me, he tried to put different units fight against different units of mine. So that has at least been a right option. Another bad thing that happened to me is that I got heavily hammered by the pilot. And this unit here can probably save me a bit. I mean, fighting right here, even now, that is pretty much a death sentence. My units, they can last really well, but compared to if they would have Vengeance and I would have Oath, they would just melt through my Oath of Preservance like it was butter. I at least evaluated correctly that he would use all Vengeances at the same time, because that's usually what the stacked player tells me. He doesn't know how to handle himself, he doesn't know how to spread, he doesn't know how to cover up big areas. Reading of your opponents is very important, because if you can read it correctly, you can... God damn it, I mean... Charging while you're engaged. I hate that that still does damage. I mean, it's been brought down by a whole lot, but it still can do, in many cases, significant damage. So where was I? Yeah, reading your opponent. If you can read your opponent correctly, you can actually make him fall into your traps, if he's that naive, of course. You can bait him into a more tactical trap, like make him think that you are a average player or below average, and just kite him into a horrible position or some other horrible tactical location or in some horrible tactical way where you actually have the advantage or the moment of surprise. Well, I did get some support here from the Vercingetorix and the Scorched Earth. That actually helps me a lot to weaken the swordsmen. Because the biggest problem when you're sending horsemen against swordsmen, as you can see, I have 40 horsemen in total in one of my groups or one of my units. And while opponents have 100 soldiers, so every horseman would basically have to kill 2.5 soldiers. That also means that they are outnumbered when they are engaged. They might be surrounded by 2 or more soldiers, a single horseman might be. And that can mean taking damage from two different sources, or 3 different, or maybe even in some cases in 4 different sources. It depends how mixed your units are. So my horsemen might actually lose a lot in the beginning, because they might be deep in the swordsmen. But eventually, if those horsemen die, the health bar will start to decline a lot less. Meaning that they are creating this even line where these horsemen might actually have a chance. So sadly, I was interrupted here by a little bit of support from Vercingetorix. I would have loved to see how long will I last and what will eventually happen. I'm guessing they would have won, but just by barely, because they got the charge into me, they got the pila into me, and those are very significant factors. If I would have not been hit by 2 of those things, the things might have gone down really equally, and from the current situation I can just say that 1 tier lower swordsmen are probably equal to 1 tier higher horsemen, at least in the case of Romans, that is also if they use the oath. I was just interested to see if I can beat them, how long I can last, and what would happen. I lasted incredibly long because I was able to bait out the vengeance, which was my overall goal as well. If I would have had proper engagement, I think I might have been able to beat him, or I might have died near the moment he would have died, or would have had very few soldiers alive. In this match I was just given a good chance to test it out, and I was really interested in it. And the outcome didn't surprise me, probably because I messed up so bad in the beginning. Well, I might as well show my horrible scoreboard. Although I did survive against him, I managed to get myself an okay score, I would say, 2,500 points. But it's incredible what the swordsmen actually did against me. They earned nearly 3,300 points. They are the second best Germanicus in the opposing team. And that was really surprising, because I would have not expected for them to get so much offense score off of my horsemen. But it is all considered of by how much damage is done. And surprisingly, I'm guessing that the Vercingetorix's Scorched Earth kinda helped me out there, so that's why I am in a situation, or I am on the scoreboard where I am. From the test's perspective, I think it was a great try, and it might have actually given me insight that the horsemen can withstand against the Germanicus without vengeance very long, which can often enough be used as a delay. If they surround all of your horsemen on all sides, well, they aren't as effective, but as long as you can keep them stuck in a bottleneck where they can't go around you and fight against them, hold them there without their vengeance, that is actually a possible option. Although I would not suggest using horsemen to delay them, not unless you have a proper team member with whom you can coordinate and manage against your opponent. But it is a viable option that gave me some insight how well the horsemen can last. And that was the key focus for me. I did expect them actually to win in the beginning, then I thought, okay, this might go like 50-50, there's a high enough chance that they'll beat me, I might have a chance to beat them. But I'm just pointing out as well that I didn't have many upgrades on my horsemen, I think maybe half of them or so. So that might have also had an effect in this battle, or in this engagement. But anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.